Hi there, I'm Shane Spears and welcome to another edition of the Summit Scale podcast, beaming out to you from the beautiful city of Bath in the UK. My guest today is Melanie McMurrain. Melanie, a very warm welcome. Great to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and to connect with your audience.
Brilliant. For those of you that don't know her, Melanie has a unique insight into the mindset triggers and needs of an audience while understanding the techie details and limitations of email service providers and CRM databases. As a former teacher turned digital marketeer, Melanie holds a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in instructional technology. And over the last 5 years, she's put these skills to good use in the trenches of the online business world, designing and managing multiple seven-figure launches on behalf of countless entrepreneurs, authors, course creators, teachers, and thought leaders. Brilliant. She is also a former professional Arena League football player and one of the original sharks from the first season of Shark Tank. Brilliant. I'm looking forward to this. Melanie,
Yes, it's my client. I have a client who was on Shark Tank and a client who was an arena football player who both turned full to digital marketing and have built multiple 7-8 figure businesses online. So
fantastic.
Any industry can transition to be really successful when you market correctly online.
Yeah, brilliant. So that's the title of our interview today, Hitting the Inbox, Email Marketing Strategies for 2020 Beyond. And we've got 10 minutes for the interview. If you're ready, let's begin.
I am all set.
So before we get into it, just tell us some more about yourself and your work, what you do, who you work with, and why you do what you do.
So I have two sides of my business. I have a done for you agency, which is how I got started.
Right.
And what really kind of gave me the unique insights to building your audience online was the fact that the agency that I first worked for, we had teams, and where many agencies are set up where they have like, this is the CRM person and this is the Facebook ads person and this is the, email funnel person and the website funnel person. I was the project manager over all of that. Right. So all of those pieces have to work together. And one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people make with their companies is you get your website designer who says, well, I built the page, it's working, it's loading fast, people are signing up. You get your ads person that says, well, I sent the clicks, and then the email person says, well, the emails were sent. But how does all of that work together?
Yeah.
And so I got into the industry 5 years ago and immediately just started studying the customer journey.
Right.
And I was running the ads, I was building the email funnels, I was managing the website design and all of that, because tiny little tweaks in any of those places can lead to large scale revenue.
Right.
And so you can't really just specialize in one thing.
Right.
You need to kind of have the overview of the actual customer in mind and their journey in order to identify what's working. So often I hear people say, well, Facebook ads don't work for me. And it's because they tried it, but had they just changed one email subject line or one call to action down the funnel,
right,
or even different messaging on their landing page or in their ad, one tiny tweak could have made it very profitable.
Right. Wow.
So that's what I really love. I really geek out over audits and like studying all of these pieces to see how it all comes together. Right?
Brilliant. And one of the things I'm really intrigued you when we set this up. You talked about the better cleaning out your email than actually adding to it. And I'm curious about this whole thing about cleaning house, your email house. Why do you need to clean your email?
So, we naturally clean our home. We naturally clean our bathrooms and our dishes every day when you use them. But I would love for your audience and for you to think right now, when was the last time you actually cleaned your email house? So cleaning your email house is scrubbing your list.
Right.
And the biggest mistake that people tell me all the time is they say, oh yeah, well, I scrub my list every month or every 3 months. I log into Infusionsoft and HubSpot. I remove people who have unsubscribed. I remove people who have bounced. So yeah, I do that. Well, that's really interesting. That's equivalent to wiping down your kitchen counters with a wet rag, right? Because your systems, HubSpot and Infusionsoft, they can truly only report that their email left their system.
Right.
But they don't tell you where they went or how they got anywhere, right? So the challenge is that you really need a third-party tool in order to determine, is it showing up in the inbox?
Right.
Is it an email account that even exists anymore?
Right.
Because I can tell you, I've worked for, several agencies. I've worked with several clients where they've set up an email address for me at their domain.
Right.
But if I'm not working with them anymore, even if I bought something and opened every email with that domain 6 months ago, if that's not active, your CRM is going to tell you that it wasn't an active, that I may even be a customer.
Yeah.
But if it's a G Suite or however an Outlook thing, then we need to make sure that we know what they're seeing, because Gmail knows what is, no longer valid. Gmail knows what is being forwarded or has been disabled. And if they see you continuing to email to those addresses, they get judgy. That's what I say, right? They really judge you and they say, oh, wow, well, if Shane is willing to email this person who obviously hasn't opened anything in 6 months, what are they doing with the rest of their list? And so they quickly move you to promotions. They move you to updates. They move you to spam. Whereas the people who really would want to be seeing you now don't have the opportunity to see you.
Right.
So, third-party tools like Zero Bounce or Never Bounce or Clean 13, there's all of these third-party services that you can choose what you would want to use for your business. They all have different nuances, and I recommend using several of them. When I do my list scrub services, I layer several of them because you really want to be sure that you're getting the best of the best. But those abandoned inboxes, the honeypots that are out there, those providers, they'll turn those abandoned inboxes as, spam checkers to see if you're a spammer. So super, super important that on a regular basis, and I recommend quarterly, that if somebody's not opening your email for 90 days, instead of continuing to email that, make sure it's still a valid and verified inbox.
Right. Wow, that's fascinating insight. I've just learned a lot. And then, so when a business has a large happy customer base, how do you maintain that relationship?
It's so important to speak to people what they're expecting to hear.
Right.
And, there's advice that I would have given for this 6 months ago. And then there's advice that I'm going to give now because we're right now when we're recording this in the midst of the coronavirus epidemic or pandemic. And what is happening is more people are online now. More people are going to email, and more people are noticing that their email inboxes are flooded with stuff they don't want.
Right.
So we're seeing a large volume of unsubscribes right now. We're also seeing a huge volume of opt-ins right now, of new people being added to our list. So there's a few things that entrepreneurs are struggling with. Number one is, if you didn't have a list before and you want to build one, now is an amazing opportunity. Facebook ads cost less than they ever had before to get leads. And you're able to build a relationship quickly with people who are only able to learn digitally.
Right.
Huge opportunity. Then you have the entrepreneurs with really large lists that consistently are emailing but not cleaning their lists, what I talked about last time. Then you have the entrepreneurs who have a list, but because they've been so busy with everything else, they haven't been having consistent communication.
Right.
And so now you want to talk to people.
Yeah.
And they're trying to speak to them, and people are like, wait, where are you? Where did you come from?
Yeah.
I don't even remember this.
Yeah.
So high volume of unsubscribes. People are hitting those honeypots so quickly. Emails are ending up in spam.
Right.
So it's really important that you have consistent communication. When somebody opts in, set the expectation for how much you're going to communicate with them and what you're going to be communicating with them about.
Right.
If somebody went to my website, they would be able to sign up for, ways to increase their email deliverability.
Right.
If you sign up for that and then I start talking to you about Facebook ads 3 weeks later, you're going to be confused.
Yeah.
Unless it's outlined as to build a relationship with your email list and to build your list up, you should use Facebook ads.
Right.
And you can transition, but you can't be popcorning, right? You can't be bouncing from one thing to another and confusing people, because it's really going to create confusion.
Right. Wow. Brilliant. And then this question about, there's whole, why are emails considered a really underappreciated workhorse? What you talk about that?
Somebody who is opening and reading your emails. Now, and when I say reading emails, nobody really reads email, right? They skim email. So consider your emails that you're writing like you would write almost an advertisement. You need to have clear calls to action. You need to have like the points that you want to get across. You need to say above the fold. You need to have them bolded where it's easy to skim to get the message, right? But this is the key way to consistently communicate with your audience. And you may have a huge following on Facebook or Instagram. You may be TikTok famous, right? You may have all of this, but those databases are owned by Facebook. They're owned by Instagram. They're owned by TikTok.
Right.
If something happens to your internet service provider or email service provider and your deliverability is impacted, you own those email addresses when they sign up for your email list. You can take them with you wherever you go, as long as you consistently have best practices and respect when somebody unsubscribes. But people who open your emails are way more likely to buy than somebody who's commenting on Facebook or social.
Right.
So build your relationships through email. Have solid calls to action through email. Make it easy and fun to read. And your profits will greatly increase.
Brilliant. And just finally, what's the question I haven't asked that I should have asked, and what would be the answer?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Whenever I speak and I talk, I usually start out my story telling people, everybody that's listening really values their leads. They're willing to pay so much to get a subscriber. They're willing to pay so much to build their list.
Right.
They're terrified to remove people from their list. They're terrified to delete the contact. It's personally offensive when somebody unsubscribes. So the question is what is the best thing a customer can do for you? The best thing a customer can do from you is unsubscribe from your list.
Wow.
If they're not going to buy from you and they found themselves not in the right place, you don't want to keep paying for them to email them and trying to get them to subscribe or to buy. And you don't want to be emailing to them where they're not opening and not clicking in your emails. Because somebody who's not opening and not clicking hurts your deliverability way worse than somebody who's clicked unsubscribe that's saving you money and holding you back from not making more money.
Wow. Melanie, I'm sitting here embarrassed about all the mistakes I've been making. It's just really fascinating, really great to hear hear your insights into all this. So, folks, for more resources, check out Melanie's website, www.risemarketing.com/summitscale, and the the link will be below the podcast. Melanie, thank you so much. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. It was fun.